5:30, as we explained earlier tonight, the U.S. has now hit Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro with financial sanctions, and it comes after the country's election to rewrite the Constitution.
CNN reporter Leyla Santiago is live for us in Caracas. And Leyla, there is such a large Venezuelan community here in South Florida. I'm sure a lot of them are wondering what the reaction has been to the latest announcement about these sanctions.
Well, we talked to a few folks here in an area that is opposition friendly, and they were saying that this probably could have come sooner, that they were happy it happened, weren't sure exactly what type of an impact it would actually have on President Maduro, if it would change his mind in any way, but they were hoping that it would have happened sooner, happy that it is happening now. I have checked in with Venezuela's government. They tell me that President Maduro is expected to make some sort of a statement later today. But, these sanctions are one of quite a few from the U.S. targeting individuals. What they have not targeted yet is the oil industry here. The U.S. buys a lot of oil from Venezuela. And as I talked to someone from the administration today, they told me that they're not there yet. That's not something they plan to do just yet, to target the oil industry. At this point, they are focused on individuals. And part of that conversation is they don't want to do anything that would perhaps hurt the Venezuelan people as much as they want to just make a statement that would impact the Venezuelan government. Rudabeh, Rick?
And Leyla, what's next now that the government is going to go ahead and rewrite the Constitution? What happens from here?
So in just a few days, we expect that assembly, the Constituent Assembly, to gather actually at the National Assembly. And, that's something that, of course, a lot of people were against in the days leading up to this election. The assembly we knew was going to happen. It was a matter of electing the candidates. We will see those candidates, more than 500 of them, gather, and they will begin the process, as they have been tasked by President Maduro himself, to begin writing that Constitution. If you ask the U.S. what this all means, administration officials are telling you this is the road to dictatorship. If you ask the Venezuelan government what this is, they say this is the road to peace, and the U.S. is interfering in what should be something that should be Venezuela's sovereignty shining.
You talk about the opposition there, Leyla. I'm just wondering, how is the country split in terms of who supports the opposition versus who still supports the Madurist government?
It's been very interesting for me to be here. Much of the east side of Caracas supports the opposition. Some of the west side tends to be government backers, many of them saying that they want to stay loyal to President Chavez. So this is about keeping President Chavez alive. But I've also met people who tell me, look, I voted for Chavez. I consider myself what they call a Chavista, but I cannot support President Maduro or the actions that he's taking to rewrite this Constitution. Again, many of them from the opposition reiterating what the United States is saying, and quite frankly, what a lot of other countries have said, including Mexico, Colombia, Guatemala, that mounting international pressure in saying this could be something that threatens democracy here in Venezuela.
Leyla Santiago, live for us in Caracas, a great window into a very volatile part of the world right now. Leyla, thank you so much.